Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Modern statistics is built on foundations created by Sir Ronald Fisher in early 20th century. The goal of this new textbook is to argue that this approach should be abandoned and the entire discipline should be rebuilt on new foundations. This introductory talk explains the ideas which went into the development of this new approach to statistics. To understand the methodological flaws in modern statistics, we need to go back to developments of European intellectual tradition. It starts with wars between Christian factions, which led to the necessity of building political science on secular foundations because there was no agreement on religious foundations. And eventually, from this first step, the whole tradition of secular modernity evolved, and this was built on supposedly objective type of knowledge, which would be equally acceptable to all human beings. It would be derived purely from reason and observations and without any moral inputs on which there was conflict. But this idea of objective knowledge is an illusion. All human knowledge must necessarily be built on moral foundations. And knowledge created by European intellectuals over the past few centuries, it pretends to be objective and rational, but in fact is built on concealed moral foundations which are toxic and antithetical to Islamic perspectives. Today, the Muslim Ummah civilization is lagging far behind others. Muslims are ignorant, backwards, poor. And the standard diagnosis for this problem is that Muslims have failed to keep up with modern intellectual developments, and therefore the standard solution is that we should spread Western education in the Islamic lands widely. The Ghazali Project makes the opposite diagnosis, that the source of the disease is the Western education being provided because it is built on toxic moral foundations and teaches a Eurocentric perspective on life, but nonetheless it imparts essential skills which we cannot dispense with. So the only solution is to build an Islamic alternative to Western education, which provides the required skills, but builds them on Islamic moral foundations. This course is a proof of concept. It creates a new approach to statistics, discarding the Western approach completely and rebuilding on new grounds, redefining the subject as a branch of rhetoric rather than a branch of arriving at objective information with numbers, and rejects the entire century of development which has built on the foundations created by Sir Ronald Fisher. Analysis and evidence for the Ghazali diagnosis that the Western education is the source of the disease is provided by this book of Julie Robin on the making of the modern university. And this book describes how an intellectual transformation took place in early 20th century due to the philosophy of logical positivism, and knowledge which was previously regarded as a united whole was split into two components, and some essential elements based on morality and character were removed from the realm of knowledge and also removed from the educational curriculum. One of the key elements of logical positivism was creating a sharp distinction between facts and values, and accepting facts as knowledge and rejecting the idea of value as being a knowledge. It was morality was merely a sentiment which had no objective meaning or value. So this was one of the key ideas of positivism. This idea has since been rejected, but the necessary work to rebuild human knowledge on moral foundations has not been done. Logical positivism was extremely influential in the early 20th century, and all of the social sciences was built on positivist foundations. And this meant excluding all mention of morality and all mention of attempting to do good, doing social welfare. These were all removed because these were not part of the logical positivist conception of knowledge. Even though logical positivism has collapsed, the foundations of social sciences have not been rebuilt as they should. The consequence of positivist foundations for human sciences was that unobservables were removed from scientific theories. And so in particular in economics, the satisfaction you feel in the heart from consumption was removed and replaced by the observable choices that you make. But this meant that the distinction between needs and wants, which is crucial to human satisfaction, was removed from the picture. In statistics, the real world causal mechanisms are always unobservable. You can only observe what Hume called constant conjunctions or correlations. And so causality was removed from statistics and replaced by correlations, which is a major defect. In probability, when we flip a coin, probability refers to what might have happened. Again, this is unobservable. So this was also removed from the picture and led to very complex and confusing definitions of probability, which still dominate textbooks. It is possible to remedy this problem by changing our focus from observables to the unobservables. And this is exactly what the title real statistics refers to. Instead of the observable phenomena, we want to use the observable phenomena to understand the hidden real world. And this is radically different from the conventional nominal statistics, which is trained to look only at observables because of the positivist ideas. We explain a little bit further the contrast between the methodology of real statistics, which is this course, and nominal statistics, which is the conventional approach to statistics. Conventional statistics is based on the idea that there are some hidden real structures, causality being one of them. These lead to some observable implications. Some of these are qualitative and some of these are quantitative, and they can be measured by data. We use both the qualitative and the quantitative information plus our intuition about the real world to arrive at models, and these are basically guesses about what is happening in the hidden real world, and then we attempt to match our guesses to reality. So the goal of real statistics is to discover the hidden real structure, but the hidden real structure remains hidden, so we will never be sure whether or not we have made a correct guess. In particular, we will be attempting to guess at causal mechanisms, but we will never be able to arrive at a final confirmation that our guess is true, because causal mechanisms will always remain hidden. In contrast to this, conventional statistics based on positivism says that hidden real structures are not our concern, and even disregards qualitative observable information. It only focuses on the quantifiable numerical data that is part of your observables. Now it takes it creates an imaginary parent population which takes place of the hidden real structures, and then it attempts to estimate which of the potential imaginary parent populations is most closely matched to the data that we have. So it's a purely imaginary exercise. And this is the source of the difficulty with conventional statistics, because you can imagine anything and you can make your imaginary parent populations conform to your biases and make it look like the data is telling you that these biases are correct, because the data allows you to get focus on which of these imaginary parent populations is closer to the data. But all of this is a mental exercise which has nothing to do with reality. So we've argued that adopting real instead of positivist approach leads to a radically different approach to statistics, and this approach has been embodied in an online educational course which is linked here, and a draft version is being made available especially to teachers of statistics for beta testing. Links are on the page. Please contact me for further information. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun wa salamun al mursaleen walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.